pounds of a 90-pound Labrador Retriever knocking a toddler to the floor is unmistakable. Amanda heard it from the kitchen, that heavy, dull thud that makes every parent's blood stop. She dropped the dish towel and ran. Max had Sophie pinned. The toddler was flat on the carpet, face up, the dog's massive head lowered directly over the child's face. Sophie was crying, not screaming, just that confused, frightened cry that meant something hurt but nothing was broken yet. Max. No. Amanda grabbed the dog's collar and pulled hard. Max resisted. Time since they brought him home 3 years ago, he didn't obey immediately. His body was rigid. His eyes stayed locked on Sophie. She pulled harder. The dog finally stepped back, but slowly, reluctantly. Day direct, streaming over Amanda. No visible injuries, no blood, just scared. But that sound, that thud, that had been real. She scooped Sophie up and carried the toddler to the couch, heart still racing. Max stood exactly where she'd pulled him, staring at them both. His tail wasn't wagging. His ears were forward, alert, not guilty, not ashamed, just watching. When Tom got home that evening, Amanda was still shaken. She explained what happened, the sound, the way Max had Sophie on the floor, the way he wouldn't move when she called him. Tom knelt down and checked Sophie carefully. No bruises, no bumps. The toddler was already playing again, completely fine. But Amanda wasn't fine. He's never done anything like that, Tom said. I know. That's what scares me. The dog sat in the corner of the living room, eyes moving between Tom and Sophie. Calm, steady. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe Sophie startled him. Amanda shook her head. It didn't feel like an accident, deliberate. That night, they kept Max in the laundry room while Sophie slept. It felt wrong. He'd never been locked away before. But Amanda couldn't shake the image of that moment, the weight of the dog on top of their child. The next morning, it happened again. Amanda was changing Sophie's diaper when Max came into the nursery. He walked directly to the changing table and pressed his nose against Sophie's face, not sniffing, pressing. Max, back. Max, back, now. Still nothing. She physically pushed him away. He took 2 steps back, then immediately moved forward again, nose going straight to Sophie's mouth. Amanda's patience snapped. Out, now. Max finally left, but only after she raised her voice to a level that made Sophie start crying. That afternoon, Amanda called the vet. The vet listened carefully, asked questions. How old was Max? Had there been any other behavior changes, any aggression toward other people? No, just Sophie. The vet was quiet for a moment, then said, "It might be stress. Sometimes dogs react unpredictably when there's a baby in the house, if they were used to being the center of attention." Amanda thanked her and hung up. By that evening, she'd made the decision. Max couldn't stay. Tom didn't want to believe it. He'd raised Max from a puppy, trained him. But he'd also seen the fear in Amanda's face. He'd heard the description of that moment, the dog on top of their child, refusing to move. They agreed to call a rescue organization in the morning. That night, Max slept in the garage. Amanda lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. She felt guilty. She felt like she was betraying a family member, but every time she closed her eyes, she saw Max's head hovering over Sophie's face, and her chest tightened. At 2:47 a.m., the baby monitor lit up. Sophie was crying. Not the usual fussy cry, something else, a strange, weak sound. Amanda sat up immediately and grabbed her phone. The video feed showed Sophie in the crib, barely moving. She ran. Tom was right behind her. When they opened the nursery door, Max was already inside. He'd somehow gotten out of the garage, somehow opened the nursery door, or it hadn't latched. He was standing on his back legs, front paws on the crib rail, nose pressed against Sophie's face. "Max, get back." Tom grabbed the dog and pulled him away. Amanda reached into the crib and lifted Sophie. Toddler's skin was pale, cold, The crying had stopped. Something's wrong. The paramedics arrived in 6 minutes. One of them took Sophie from Amanda's arms, checked vitals, asked rapid-fire questions. When did this start? Any fever? Any vomiting? Any known allergies? Paramedic noticed Max. He was standing in the hallway completely still, eyes fixed on Sophie. Has the dog been acting strange? Amanda nodded, barely able to speak. Yes. Time came to be the number of smaller assistants. And a paramedic looked at Sophie again, looked at Max, then looked at Amanda. We need to get to the hospital, now. At the ER, a doctor examined Sophie thoroughly. Blood tests, monitoring, questions. Then she came back into the room with a printout and a very serious expression. Your daughter's electrical activity in the brain showed pre-seizure patterns. Passed word for a moment today. Another 10 minutes and we would be having a very different conversation. She looked at both parents. What made you bring Sher in tonight? Amanda explained the crying, the monitor, the pale skin. The doctor nodded slowly. And the dog. He wouldn't leave Sophie alone, Amanda said quietly. For 2 days, we thought he was being aggressive. Dogs can detect seizure onset before we can. It's documented. The change in scent and breath chemistry, they pick it up long before symptoms are visible to us. He was trying to tell you when they brought Sophie home 3 days later. Max was waiting by the door. Amanda knelt down and put her arms around his neck. I'm so sorry. Max exhaled slowly, leaning into her. That night, Sophie slept in the crib. Max slept on the floor beside it. No one asked him to. He just did.